What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Armed in Black. We are here, episode 4. If you miss episodes 1 through 3, definitely check out the channel. Go watch those videos, subscribe, leave a comment, and drop a like. One of the newest YouTube channels that's going to be having these great conversations about firearms. So definitely want you guys to join in on it. Today we have a great conversation, and it's going to be one that has been debated so many times. Should you carry with one in the chamber? I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion on that. So, really quickly, just to show you guys, I have my EDC here, my everyday carry. This is pretty much my favorite gun at this point. This is the Smith & Wesson Equalizer. If you never shot this gun, go check it out. Go watch episode 1. I talk about why I carry this gun over other pistols. The gun is clear, following all safety standards at all times. Magazine is clear. So, what is the benefit of carrying with you around in the chamber? Obviously, the biggest benefit is that you are going to get a faster shot time off. Meaning when you draw from concealment, you can get on target and bang. Shoot very quickly. So what does it mean by carrying with you around in the chamber? Essentially what that means is when you take a loaded magazine, you put it in the mag well, you rack it. What's happening with that action is the racking action is taking a round from this portion of the gun, which is the magazine, right? It's taking a round from the magazine, and it is pushing that round into the slide portion of the gun into the barrel, and the gun is ready to fire. So many people, millions of people across America, carry a firearm in that fashion. Right, so that they carry it because they believe that that's how they need to carry the firearm. I'm not here to say that they're right or wrong. I'm simply here to tell you the pros and the cons of both ways that people carry a firearm. So obviously the biggest benefit, you draw, you get on target fairly quickly, and you can knock down that shot. And if you train fairly regularly, which everybody should be doing, you can do that in probably under a second. What's the biggest drawback? The drawback is that you have a loaded weapon with a round in the chamber, and it's almost always going to be pointed at a body part, because most people carry in the waistband, and that essentially means that the gun is pressed up against your body, and it is this barrel is going to be pointed at a body part, which means you're breaking rule number 1, which is do not point a loaded or unloaded firearm at anything you are not willing to destroy. But we break that rule every day when we practice in the waistband carry. Obviously no one talks about that, but that's effectively what we're doing. We're pointing the gun at ourselves, and we do that under the assumption that this gun is reliable and is not going to malfunction, which brings me to my next point. Anything man-made has a small likelihood of malfunctioning, and guns are not exempt from that, right? We see the SIG P320 and the lawsuits that they're going through. So many gun owners have claimed that the firearm has fired and no one has pulled the trigger. So that's just something to think about. A lot of gun owners are like, hey, I don't want a loaded firearm with one in the chamber pointed at my body part. If I carry this in the waistband, that loaded gun, that barrel is pointed at my private. And if it goes off, it's going to blow off my junk. If it's at the 3 o'clock, guess what? It's pointed at my thigh. And if it goes off, it's going through my thigh into my leg. If I carry at the 5 o'clock or the 6 o'clock, that loaded gun in the barrel is pointed at my butt. And if it goes off, it goes through my butt and into my calf. So that's just something to think about, right? But again, we carry in the waistband. Many Americans carry in the waistband because they trust that the firearm is not going to go off. But I'm here to say, although most firearms are very reliable, there is always that small chance that the gun can malfunction and fire when the trigger has not been pulled. So it's just something to think about, and I can sort of understand why so many people in America do not carry with a round in the chamber, right? Many people carry at home. They wake up, they take their gun, they put it on their hip, and they rack it, and there's a round in that chamber. But if you have kids, if you have small kids, you have a little baby child that's holding onto your legs, a 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, and you're carrying at the 3 o'clock, there's a chance that that muzzle is pointed at that child's head. So for many gun owners, they're like, hey, I don't want to take the risk this gun is pointed at my child's head, who my child is always grabbing on my leg, it's just dangerous, right? Not to mention if it's on your body and you're bumping into things, your kids are playing with you, they're hitting the firearm, they're bumping into the firearm, there's always that psychological trauma that the gun could go off. Now, whether it goes off or not, in most cases it doesn't, but that fear sometimes can cause people to fiddle with the gun more often than it needs to be and accidentally discharge the firearm because they're touching the gun too much. So these are all things, real factors that people need to think about, right? So I guess the question now is, well, what's the benefit of carrying a gun that has not been racked, a gun that does not have a round in the chamber? Well, the benefit is that your gun is 100% safe. Even if you take a loaded magazine and put it in your gun, if you don't rack this, then the rounds stay in this portion of the gun. Nothing is pushed into the slide area because you did not rack the gun. So that's something to think about. Your gun is 100% safe. So if you're at home with your kids and they're bumping up against the gun, you're running around, you're jumping, you're sliding, you're doing all these things, you never have to worry a thing that the gun is going to accidentally go off because guess what? You did not rack the firearm. So that's just a huge safety win for people who are scared that the gun might go off, right? But what's the con? Well, the biggest con is that the draw time might be the same, but you have to add that additional step of racking the gun and getting on target and taking the shot. So your shot time is going to be slower. Now, I've conducted the test to see my time with both of these circumstances. When my gun is already racked, when I have a round in the chamber, when I draw from concealment and get on target, it takes me about 1 second to make that shot. Pretty good. When I draw from concealment and rack the gun and then get on target, it takes me about 1.5 seconds to get that shot off. So the difference for me was about a half a second. For many people, it might vary, but it was about a half a second. So the question is, does that half a second matter? For many gun owners, they're going to say, hell yeah, it matters, right? It matters 100%. For some people, they're going to say, no, my safety is more important, and the fact that I'm carrying this loaded firearm that doesn't have a round in the chamber gives me more of a peace of mind, then that's something you have to think about. Self-defense over safety. You just have to sort of weigh the pros and cons of it, right? So that's just something to think about. The other drawback is that you almost always need two hands because you have to draw the gun, use that second hand to rack the gun, and then get on target, right? When you have a round in the chamber, you can sort of hold off that threat, draw the firearm, and simply shoot. You don't need that second arm. So it's just something to think about. And again, for everybody, you are an adult. You figure out what's the best way to carry a gun for yourself. I'm not saying one is right or wrong. I'm just saying there are pros and cons to both ways that we carry a gun. Okay? One thing that I have noticed that has been bothering me, I've taken some firearm safety courses, some pistol shooting, classes. And one thing I've seen is a lot of these instructors are forcing students to rock around in the chamber and do drills with the firearm with the round already, inside of the chamber. And to me, it's kind of like, well, that's cool, but at the same time, the students should be able to decide whether they want to train with the round in the chamber or train by drawing a gun, rocking the gun, and then going to work. But a lot of these gun courses are forcing students to train with a round already chambered, and to me, that just doesn't make sense. We are all adults here. Don't get me wrong, there are certain objective safety standards that we should all be practicing, which is covering this trigger guard, making sure the gun is properly holstered, and making sure that every time we holster the gun, we're keeping our finger out of this trigger guard, and that we're not touching that trigger until we're ready to shoot. If we're going to put this in a fanny pack or a purse, it should always be in a nice, strong holster. Those are certain objective safety standards that I'm all for. But telling a person that they have to have a round in the chamber, I'm not for that. We are adults, and people get to choose the best way to protect themselves. For some people, it's having that round in the chamber, and for others, it's making sure there's never a round in the chamber, and they're willing to draw rack, and then go to work. I'm not saying one is right. I'm not saying one is wrong. All I'm saying, again, like the third time, each way has pros and cons. And as a shooter, you have to weigh which one is more important to you. Okay? So these are just things to think about, man. But again, what do you guys think? Right? Like, what do you guys think? For me as a shooter, how do I carry the equalizer? I carry with a round in the chamber always. I always carry with a round in the chamber. But the reason why I carry with a round in the chamber is because my equalizer already comes with safety features that I love. It has the manual thumb safety and it has a passive grip safety. So the safety standards are there, and I'm very comfortable and very, very for me, I believe this gun is 100% safe because of the safety standards that are already incorporated into the gun. Many Americans carry firearms that don't have a passive grip safety and guns that don't have a manual thumb safety. So at the end of the day, the only thing preventing that gun from going off is ensuring that you're not pulling this trigger either accidentally or on purpose. And it sounds pretty standard, but many people accidentally pull the trigger. And when you don't have a thumb safety and you don't have a passive safety, so much can go wrong in my point of view. So at a minimum, I only carry guns that have at least a thumb safety. If there's no thumb safety, I'm not carrying that gun. This gun is great because it has both the thumb safety and the passive grip safety. So I carry with one in the chamber and I'm confident. I also don't carry in the waistband. I don't have this gun pointed at myself. I don't do that. I carry in the 945 Industries Tactical Fanny Pack, which is off body. So the gun, in most cases, is off body and is pointed sort of that way. It's never pointed at my body for the most part. So it's sort of strapped to my chest and it's off body and it's not pointed at me. So that's just something to think about. But bigger than anything else, whether you carry with a round in the chamber or you carry with a round not in the chamber, the biggest thing is understanding your situational awareness, making sure you understand who's around you. Look at your environment, because it doesn't matter if you carry with a round in the chamber or not. If a person is able to get the drop on you, it doesn't matter if you have a round in the chamber or not. If you reach for that gun when a person has already gotten the drop on you, you're probably going to get shot. At that point, you have to bend to the will of this person who has the gun on you, right? So we have to make sure that people are not getting close enough to us where the way we're carrying a gun becomes irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you are carrying with a round in the chamber or a round not in the chamber. Situational awareness is key. It is paramount to ensuring that you do not get robbed, shot, or killed. Always watching your back, watching your environment, looking at other people, making sure that the people around you are good people. That's the important thing. So please, guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you carry with a round in the chamber? Do you not? I don't know. Everybody, they do things that's best for them. I carry with a round in the chamber, but I do it because this has a grip safety and it already has a thumb safety. But I definitely want to hear in the comments what you guys think. But again, man, follow the channel, subscribe below. Love to hear what you guys think. We want to chop it up some more in the next episode. But as always, this is Armed in Black. De-escalate situations, walk away from situations, because if you are in a shooting, please understand it's expensive. You will almost always get charged, and it will take away a good chunk of your life going back and forth to court. So just think about that, guys. De-escalate, walk away. If you're in a situation or an environment where things are getting spicy, leave. All right? But as always, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you carry with one in the chamber? Was I making sense with the points that I was making? Do you guys agree or disagree? I would love to chop it up. Until next time, see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourself.